What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to episode number 2 of the RTX-1 Nitro Truggy build. This is going to get started with bag number 11, which is the rear camber links. So yeah, I'm going to break these out, get started, and try to speed through this. Alright, so next up we're going to mount the wing mount. I'm going to go with the high wing mount position, which is going to be up here. I don't know if you can probably see it or not, but you can also mount it lower, which means you have to relocate these two bulkhead screws, and it pretty much attaches to the bulkhead and sits the wing down low. I've never tried it that low. I might try it maybe one of these days that we're out at the track and it's kind of windy. And see what effect that has on the truggy handling, you know, high mount versus low mount. So, yeah, so we're definitely going to mess with that. But for now, I'm just going to mount it up high. So that wraps up bag number 11, which is mounting the camber links and the wing mount. Next up is going to be going to work on the chassis and the belt crank steering. So I'm going to get all that unpacked and squared away. And yeah, I'll be right back. Alright, up next we're going to go to bag number 12, which is going to assemble the steering links and the belt crank steering. So I'm going to get everything cracked open here and we'll get going. Alright, so on to bag number 13, which is the assembly or the mounting of the front clip, which will include the chassis brace and the front bumper. So let me get this stuff unpacked here and we'll get it on. So one thing I've already done is I've already greased the pinion and the sun gear, or the ring gear I should say, sorry. I do that right before I mount it just so that I don't, accidentally get grease all over the place, which probably doesn't happen to a lot of people, probably just me because I'm more clumsy, but yeah, people might have noticed that I didn't do it when it's specified in the manual, which is I think when you finish the front clip. Alright, on to bag number 14, which is the assembly of the center diff and the brake assembly. So I'm going to get everything all unpacked here and get it sorted out and get this put together. All right, so first things first, I'm gonna trim off the ears on these brake shoes because we have found that the powder coating or whatever this finish is here on the brake calipers is so thick. The fit is really tight, and we also notice that the screws that go through the mounting holes, again, because of the powder coating that's inside that hole, and the fact that this shoe overhangs, or obviously follows the shape of the caliper, it just creates a lot of just unneeded friction and affects the I guess I would call the consistency of the brakes, both engagement and release. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut the ears off, because if you really look at it, that's pretty much the contact patch of the brake. So you don't need the ears because they're not contacting the brake disc. So I'm gonna trim the ears on the brake shoe first and foremost. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna carefully grind down. See that powder coating in there? I'm gonna sand that down, or yeah, I guess that's the only word I can use. Kind of sand it down just so that the engagement is smooth. When the cams engage, it'll engage and disengage smoothly. So again, it's a bummer that we have to do this. I've already kind of brought this up to HQ and seeing if they've addressed this or have a fix for this, and I've been told that well, yeah, I guess I'm not confirming, but there is an update or revision coming, so that's a good thing. So yeah, let me get started on that. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply a little dab of glue on the shoe and attach it to the rotor, if you want, or the caliper. Again, a step that I think is completely unnecessary and we shouldn't have to do, but it is what it is for now. Maybe I'm crazy for admitting that out loud, but like I said early on in the early videos, that we are not going to pull any punches, and we're going to tell you like it is, whether it's good or bad. So get used to it. Okay, so while that stuff's drying, I'm going to get started on prepping the rest of the assembly, which is not going to take that long, actually. Everything's actually ready. So. All right, another thing I wanted to point out that I'm going to try based on what I've seen out of the brakes is, you notice that I've kind of, trying to get that I've kind of rounded that off a little bit. Here's the other side of it. This is how it is on both sides, right? And it's just such a sharp edge there that when it's engaging the caliper, it's, again, being that it's kind of like such a sharp edge, again, I just noticed that, like, just watching the brakes engage when I'm, kind of like bench, if you want to call it like bench testing or bench checking my linkages and whatever, I was seeing that, God, I'm sorry guys, I was seeing that, again, just the entire motion isn't smooth. So I thought for this one, I'm gonna, round off this edge so that it has more of a tendency to obviously slide across. And, again, maybe it's pointed for a reason to make sure like it digs into it, but then that wouldn't, I don't understand why they would go to the trouble of embossing the logo on there if that's just going to get marred anyway. So again, I'm just experimenting, you know, take it for what you will, you know, what you will. Again, part of RC is experimenting and improving on any car, any chassis that you feel that you see something that you don't like or something you want to try. Well, that's what's cool about this hobby, is that you could try it. In worst case scenario, you put the part back the way it was, right? I have spares. But, you know, take it for what you will. People are going to be like, oh, that's stupid that you have to do that. You know, well, you know, look, every kit out there requires some sort of modification. Everybody gets a little, gets their brain spinning and, you know, trying to experiment and trying to find an edge or something that works better for you. So, again, that's what I'm trying with this one. This is the front brake, and I'm going to be doing the rear brake right now. This is going to be, right, this side's going to be the part that's going to be engaging the caliper. So I'm just going to round it off a little bit. All right, so before I complete the assembly by mounting the calipers, I wanted to kind of review what it is that I did with the calipers themselves. I know that I mentioned earlier that I was going to remove some of the coating from within the mounting hole that the screw passes through. And two things. One is I only do it on the side here. See how it's a perfect circle there, and that's like elongated. I only do it on the side that's the perfect circle. The elongated side really doesn't provide or have any issue. It's just this side. That's what I've noticed when the brakes engage. Whatever side this mounting hole's on is the one that kind of hangs up a bit. And I don't know if that was by design. I just don't like it, and I feel that it just makes the brake engagement uneven. And if your brakes aren't consistent, I don't see how your lap times would be consistent. So anyway, the way I do it is I just get an old body reamer. This is an older one. I never use my good one on this stuff, but I kind of just put it in the hole and just kind of gradually, real lightly turn it around and do the other side. And you can see how, you know, it kind of flakes off, right? And I just remove it just enough so that the screws pass through, you know, without any issue. And you know, now like there's like no issue whatsoever, right? So that's the whole point. You see, here's the elongated side again, no issue, and that one actually has a little bit more play anyway, and that's by design, I'm sure. But this side is the one that was hanging up, so that's the one that I ream. Another thing that I did, I know that I mentioned yesterday that when it came to the brake cams, this is where the brake cams, you know, contact the caliper. And the reason I kind of took the Dremel and kind of removed that coating is because I also saw that on some of the other cars that we run on the team, as the brakes wear in, the constant engagement, disengagement, and the heat generated and whatnot, like it starts to, I don't know, it like starts to melt this coating, and I don't know, it makes it seem like it creates like a sticking point for the engagement of the caliper to the brake cam. So if you look at other brands, they don't have a coating on their brake calipers, and that's probably for that reason. So this one, why they look cool, the side that's going to be facing the inside of the assembly, like right here where the brake cam is going to engage, is going to be, you know, treated like that. So it's going to have, you know, so it's basically, if you can kind of, you're not going to see the motion until it's assembled. But again, I did that on both sides of the inner caliper, right? And it's just really, really lightly. I don't do it so it's like a huge dent, but just enough to remove the coating so that there's nothing getting in the way of that motion. So yeah, I just wanted to touch on that. So yeah, let me get going on completing the assembly of the center diff. All right, so I'm getting ready to mount the calipers to the assembly, and one thing I'm also going to point out is that the kit doesn't come with springs for the brakes, and I don't know why. I think they're an important part of making brakes consistent. As part of my nitro builds, especially for WIRC, I install the brake springs. These I think those are Techno springs. These are like they're pretty stiff, and provide a good amount of, like, I would say, like, clamping force. So yeah, so that's what I'm getting ready to do now. Alright, so next step is going to be actually mounting the diff to the chassis and the side guards. I'm going to go ahead and mount the side guards first. Okay, so that is the end of bag number, I believe, 14. So now we're moving on to bag number 15, which is mounting the engine, or the clutch to the engine, and then the engine to the chassis. I'm gonna skip that step for now because the engine is gonna be the Avarice 0.21 that we're gonna be installing in here, and it's currently being broken in by using Adam Drake's Drake-In service. So he's been extremely busy getting his track ready for grand opening. So yeah, I'm just gonna, you know, be patient and wait for him to get to it. So that step's gonna be skipped over for now. And now I'm gonna move on to, I think bag 16 I think has the fuel tank. So I'm just gonna go mount the fuel tank, even though I'm probably gonna have to dismount it when the engine comes in, but at least I want to be able to, you know, give everybody a view of what it's going to look like, all kind of pretty much said and done. So let me go get the fuel tank ready and I'll be right back. All right, so bag 16 is the fuel tank. Has the fuel lines, the fuel tank mounting hardware, and the baffle comes pre-installed in the tank. I remove it from all the nitro builds because I've teched both the buggy and the truggy without it at our local races, and it's passed. So we don't attend or haven't attended any of the races, sanctioned races that require that baffle yet. We do carry them, so if we ever do, we'll go to pre-tech, and if we're not compliant, then we'll slap it back in there. But for right now, we're getting max capacity out of this tank. So let me get this thing ready to install by getting the mounting posts. So yeah, let me get to that. So now that the mounting posts are mounted, one thing I'm gonna suggest you do with both the SPX buggy and Truggy is these tank mount bushings are very, very soft, and they only get softer as heat gets cycled through the car. Word of the wise is we install them with a washer. So this is the the screw that comes with it. We install a longer screw. This one I believe is an 8 mil. I think I do like an 11 mil because the post is deep enough for it. And then I'll put a washer underneath it to really clamp down on it so that when these start to wear in and get softer, the tank doesn't start wiggling and come in contact with the pipe. So yeah, let me get these washers. I didn't have them ready ahead of time, so let me go get those. Okay, so the tank is mounted, and I used some anodized washers that I ordered to get it secured the way I wanted to. Like I was telling you earlier, we do suggest you run the washers or some type of washer on the tank bushing here that goes between the tank and the post. It just secures it a lot better, and it keeps the tank from wanting to move a little bit, which had a tendency to get too close to the pipe because the clearance is really tight, which brings me to that. That's a J, obviously you can see it's a J&T bearing tank guard. This isn't specifically for the WIRC. I believe it's for a Techno. I had it lying around and I was able to use the recesses that are already in the tank that are actually for the clips for the fuel line tubing. I opted to use them for the tank guard fab because I felt protecting the tank was more important than the fuel line. Fuel line I could figure out another something else to route. I've never really had an issue with that. I am going to have to trim the side guard to clear the pipe since the pipe is going to come out a bit farther. The tank wire, I believe that comes with the kit, is long enough. If not, I have one that's longer to get the tank and the pipe to not have to rub shoulders because I don't like that. But I'll do all that once I get the engine back. Like I told you, it's getting broken in. So once I do that, I'll put that part, put that together and include it in part of the footage. Yeah, other than that, pretty much going to move on to bag number 17, which is going to be the radio tray. I already opened it up to get the hardware because I already had a radio tray that was literally ready to go. So I'm going to use this since it's pretty much what I'm gonna do anyway, right? And it was already ready to go, so I didn't see the need to bust out a new one and have to do all that routing again. So all I have to do is slap a battery in there, drop the receiver, but everything else is ready to go. So this is what I'm gonna use and this is what I'm gonna mount. So let me get the hardware and I will get that up. All right, so let me get the radio tray mounted up. Okay, so radio tray's mounted up. I'm gonna do the throttle and servo linkages when I get the engine back, obviously for the throttle, and steering. I'll do that when I get the receiver in and I'm ready to kind of set my endpoints and all that. So I'm gonna skip that part of this step and gonna go to the next bag, which is gonna be, I believe, bag 18 for the shocks. I'll get them built and mounted. And yeah, we'll be getting really, really close for this thing being done. So yeah, let me get to it. Oh, one more thing is also you can see that I have the fuel filter. This isn't the WIRC option fuel filter. I used to, or my son and I used to run Kyosho before, so I have a lot of leftover Kyosho odds and ends. So this is a Kyosho mount that actually mates right up to the mounting location that is for, this is actually for the wire that will attach or support the air filter. It just happened to mate right up for the fuel filter. So it should be okay. I might have to clock it a little bit to be in line with the fuel line, but I'll worry about that when I get to that point. All right, so next up, I'm going to have to change up the plan here. Like I said before, the engine is being broken in by Adam Drake. And I believe right now he's attending PNB, so he wasn't able to get to the engine. So I'm going to have to go ahead and assemble the throttle linkage now and have it ready, because I'm going to be using another adverse engine that Andrew Morales is not going to be using on Sunday when we practice. So I'm going to drop it in here just so I can get this thing out on the track on Sunday and start getting some practice for next weekend's JBRL series. So what I'm going to do is, like I said, do the throttle linkage. I'm going to do a little bit different. I'm not going to assemble the throttle linkage that comes with the kit. And the reason being is because it comes with a plastic servo horn for the throttle. And currently WIRC does not make an aluminum option part for that. And this happened to me. I don't know if it's happened to anybody else, but on my Nitro buggy, the servo horn ended up stripping after a while and was causing really erratic throttle inputs. Because the gear's turning, and if the mating surface between the throttle horn and the servo is all stripped out, yeah, the servo's got a lot of torque, and it's just, yeah, it was just really erratic. And that was the cause of it. So like I said, they don't make a current aluminum option part. So in passing, I remember before Marco Barufalo left to join Kyosho, I reached out to him via Instant Messenger and asked him what he was running in place of the plastic piece, and he said he was running the Techno, which I suspected. Having kind of zoomed in on one of his photos, you can kind of tell. So I'm going to follow suit and use the Techno servo horn, and obviously the parts that go with that, which is the bearings and the collars or the inserts, and the actual throttle linkage assembly, right? So I'll put the parts in the description if anybody else wants to try it. I ended up trying it on the Nitro buggy, and I never had any more issues. So another thing I want to mention about that, and a tip that I got actually from watching one of Jared Tebow's build videos way back when I was running Techno, is one of the things that's a big problem, I think, for this platform. Actually, I mean, all the platforms, really, all the platforms that I've had before, adjusting the brake bias has always been difficult, because it is the adjustment, the adjustment collars, or whatever you want to call these, the turn. It's such a tight fit that it's really hard on the fingers, and it's really hard to get incremental changes on the brakes. So again, shout out to Jared Tebow, who his build videos are always really good. What he does is he puts one of the linkages that's going to be for one of the brakes, one of the brake cams, and puts it in the drill. And then you get the part, obviously, for the rear brake. So I'm gonna try to zoom in and show. See if I can zoom in. There we go. So just gradually start threading it in there. Whoop. And eventually it'll pop off the other side, right? And I can tell you right now, like it's hard to hold this while you're drilling it, which kind of, again, goes back to what I'm telling you, where it's a really tight fit. There we go. I'm using this to hold it. And then I'll just reverse the drill. And just go back and forth a few times. Kind of softens the plastic. Use your hand, but it starts to get really hot. And you can see that it's actually kind of smoking a little bit. Focus. So yeah. So once you do that, back and forth a few times, I can tell you right now that, like, I'll just do it right now. And the resistance is nowhere near what it was when I first started, right? and now it's like super easy. So now, when you're mechanics down in pit lane, right before, the start of a race, whatever, and you come in and say, hey, can you give me a little bit more front brake or rear brake? You could literally, easily give little quarter turns, where as before, some of these, man, you're just like trying to get it in there, man, and it just really tears up the fingers, and you're not even really sure if you're turning it. This one, it's really gives really good, I don't know the word, tactile. You can feel it turn easily, and you can say, I gave you a quarter turn, full turn, kind of the same way you would ask somebody to give you adjustments on the needles of the engine, right? So yeah, it's been a great tip, and I've used it ever since, years and years now. On all nitro cars that I've ever built, I've done this, and it's definitely helped. It's definitely helped adjust brakes way smoother for me. So I'm gonna finish doing the other one for the front brake, and I'll get it mounted up to, or lined up with the brake levers. All right, so those are done. Now I'm gonna move on to getting everything ready and organized for getting the brake levers lined up perfectly, and then I'll start inserting the rods. These rods are definitely gonna be too long. I'll eyeball how much I'm gonna need as far as an adjustment range. Oh God, I'm not even. Sorry guys. I'll eyeball how much I'm gonna need for an adjustment range, because you can see right here, if it's too long, it's gonna be hitting the tank, right? If it's too long. So yeah, I'll get everything kind of mocked up here, and I'll kind of mark it, and then I'll cut it. I got some small bolt cutters that work perfectly. It cut through this like nothing, and it makes a nice clean cut, and then I'll kind of just sand it so it's not so sharp. And yeah, so let me get to that, and I'll be right back. All right, so here you can see I've already mounted the throttle servo horn, mounted up the brake linkages, and I'm gonna try to zoom in here, but you can see that I've cut considerable amount off of the rod so that it wouldn't impact the fuel tank. So now that's full extension of the throttle servo, and it's not impacting the tank, right? So I even give myself a little bit more room in case, once I get my endpoint set and whatever, that if I need to extend it a little bit more, I'll have the room. So that was pretty much my thought process, right? Is to make it so that it was neat and tidy, and I didn't have these long rods sticking out the other end. I already have it all set up here for the throttle. I'll set it completely once I get the engine in place. This is probably gonna have to get reset, but for now it's all in place. And all I have to do now is put the set screw to, make this, a fully secure mounting option. But again, I'm not going to do that till I get to the track here in a little bit. Yeah, so next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get ready to mount up the wing, which I'll get to that in a second, what I'm going to do with that. And I got to mount up the steering servo, get that all lined up. And again, all those final adjustments will be made at the track once I get my my receiver pack charged and in there, and engine's mounted, and I'm ready to fire this thing up for the first time. So yeah, let me get to that. All right, so before I make the holes, it comes with the dimples marked where it lines up with the wing mount, and you have 1, 2, and 3, 4 mounting locations. I'm gonna go with the second one, which is gonna put the wing a bit more. Actually, you know what? I'm probably gonna go with the third one to get it pushed back a little bit, just so that there's no chance it interferes, or I don't have to, remove the wing or whatever to get to the shock. So, yeah, I'm gonna go with position 3, which is almost to the last holes, kind of pushes it back further. I know that, there are characteristics for moving the wing forward and moving it back. I'm not gonna test those with this wing. I'm gonna use a high downforce wing. I have a couple laying around that are older that I'll try, because I have some coming from from WIRC. They make their own option downforce wings now, so I have some of those coming. So I'm going to try them once they get here. But for now, I'm just going to mount this one to get it to the track, and then probably later today I'll switch to one of the ones that I already have. So for now, I'm going to get this one mounted up. Alright, so we're on to bag number 20, which pretty much includes the last of the assemblies, which are the wheel nuts, air filter assembly, you know, the body clips. But this is the part that I'm after right now for the next step, which is the wing, which is the post that goes through the wing mount. So I'm gonna cut that out of the bag real quick here. But so this is the post that goes over the wing. These little holes here are threaded, and that's where it's going to line up with these holes here. Makes it for a very, very strong wing mount. But it is a chore to get it in there. Actually, that one was pretty easy. All right, so you see I got the wing mounted already. It's pretty much self-explanatory, right? Once you get that post through there with threaded holes, mounting holes facing up, obviously, or either way, because they're not directional threaded, right? So you can put it in as long as the holes are facing or lined up with the openings on the wing mount. You pretty much mount the wing wherever you prefer, forward or back, and then you insert the wing buttons and the screws and tighten them down, right? We've all done that before. Pretty self-explanatory. So the next thing I'm going to do is actually finally mount the shocks. I usually do that last before I take the car out. So the kit comes with 600 CST for both front and rear shocks, and we built the very first Nitro Truggy with this box stock and took it out there, and it was okay. But given the conditions that we were in that day, it definitely wasn't the right fluid for the conditions and the track that we were at. So we ended up going with a different setup, and the setup we settled on with the factory 8-hole pistons was 450 in the front, 400 in the rear. That's pretty much been the go-to, at least anyway, for the season that we've run so far, which was kind of going into the fall through the winter. And that's been, like I said, the go-to setup. Obviously, as the weather heats up, we're going to change that, and we'll definitely update everybody with what we've run. But yeah, so I'm going to go with building this kit with 450 in the front, 400 in the rear. So let me get on that. These have aired out enough. There's no more air bubbles in there, so I'm gonna seal them up and get this wrapped up so I can get them ready to mount on the Truggy. So what I do is I turn the shock body until I feel it like tighten up, I'll back it out like a quarter turn and then just start lowering the shock. You can see any excess comes out, being pushed out by the air. And then just tighten it as tight as I can get it. And let me clean out all the excess. And I'll pump it and see. It's got a little bit more air than I'd like. But it definitely feels nice and smooth. So anyway, I'm gonna leave it as is because the first time this goes out, I expect the weather to be a little bit warmer, and this might be a little bit, I might have to go a different way anyway, so. And there we go. We have a full set of shocks ready to go on an RTX-1 Nitro Truggy. So yeah, let me get kind of cleaned up here, and I'm gonna go ahead and mount them to the Truggy. So stay tuned. I've already got the first one mounted. I'm gonna start in the middle mounting holes on both right now until I get to the track, and then kind of see and go from there. Right? I'll make adjustments once I kind of see what you know, compare notes with what we've been doing. But yeah, I'm just going to start in the middle mounting hole, which is kind of not tilted. They're not straight up. They're just at, you know, they're at an angle. So yeah, let me get going with that. Well, that's pretty much wrapping up the build. Shocks are mounted, wings mounted. Only thing left to do is the pipe hanger or the pipe bracket and the pipe wire. But I'm going to do that when I get to the track and mount the engine mount. And then it's routing the fuel lines and just all the last little bit of the tedious stuff to get done before you take a car out for the first time. So I'm gonna, get packed up here, get ready to head out to the track. And yeah, this is not normally how I'd like to do it. I'd like to get to the track already, literally to be able to just throw tires on and go. But I'm gonna have to do a little bit more wrenching at the track to get this thing ready to go. So I just ran out of time, and just, yeah, life gets in the way, and life priorities come first. So, but yeah, the build is wrapped up. I'll give you guys a better look at it when I get to the track outdoors to kind of give you the reveal. And yeah, I appreciate everybody sticking with it. And yeah, so like I said, next time you see it, I'll be at the track getting ready to put it down, and we'll throw some footage of the initial break-in. So yeah, thanks for sticking with it, guys. Give me a few minutes. I'm gonna get packed up here, and like I said, next time you see it, it'll be ready to go.